who's the best player you've seen like play come through the academy NFC? He's like, yeah, you know, Messi's number one. But he goes, he said to us like, do you know who number two is? Like in terms of like just raw ability. About who? And pointed him over there. When they talk about that 1% making it, they should include people like that because that ability, not everyone can have that.
So yeah, Henoc, I just want to touch upon as well, like, because where you are now, where we got to in conversation, this is like, I probably started to get to know you a bit as well.
Yeah.
So like, obviously for me, I started watching you lot, but through Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
Because I think around that time, I just more or less signed at Chef Wednesday.
Yeah.
So I was on my little football as well, and I was a winger, so I could kind of relate to Sterling as well as a small player, with a few tricks and that. So I could kind of relate to that pace. So I started to watch you lot on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, NFC TV.
NFC TV, fam. I see you, man, turning it up still. There was you in there, obviously Sterling, Adam Morgan, like you mentioned, Wisdom, Connor Cody. There was bare ballers in that team still. So obviously, speaking to you now and taking a little interest in your own career, as you was a few years older than me, what was it like? Obviously speaking to me as well, because obviously I'm a few years younger than you. So even though you was probably only like 17, 18, let's say, you're still a young man yourself, but I'm coming to you and speaking to you for a little bit of advice. What was that like, being like a role model from a young age as well?
So obviously with myself having little brothers, whenever like any young black kid who's younger than me comes to me and asks me for advice, I give him the best advice I can, as if I'm giving my little brother advice, you know what I mean? So obviously when we first started speaking, obviously you're friends with like my little cousins and people that I know and things like that. So I just thought, you know what, the question is asking me, if that was my little brother asking me, what advice would I give him, you know what I mean? Because for me, like, I always think like ideas are free, you know what I mean? Like advice, I got a million ideas in my head, I can't do them all, but if I can give you the advice or the idea and you can do it and it can improve your life or your career or whatever, why not do it, you know what I mean? So like, I didn't really see myself as a role model. I just kind of see myself as more as like just like an elder figure, you know what I mean? Just like, obviously you come to me because you think he might know. Yeah,
you're doing your thing.
Yeah, he knows the answer.
He knows
to my
the
question.
process. He's been like he's going through it, and it's also a sense. I'm sorry to interject. Like obviously, you're looking your pro, and you're obviously in that transition of getting your pro. That whole dialogue would have been so helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
For you.
So I think for me, I looked at it. I'd always try and give you the advice like I was giving it to my own little brother. You know what I mean? And I still do that till this day with like I mentor like I got like 5 or 6 players that I mentor, and then a lot of them they call me big bro because they say like, look, you literally speak to us like as if you're my older brother. And I said, that's how I look at it, because I'm taking the role of a mentor and things like that, but I feel like a lot of people have got like agendas when it comes to it, you know what I mean? Like for me, it's just, you ask me the question and I'll just give you, do you know what I'd do actually? I'd give you the advice or I'd answer your question and I'd give you more. You get me? I'd be like, oh, you want to do this, that, but also, did you know about X, Y, Z as well? You should look into that, you know what I mean? So I think that's how I am, if that makes sense.
So what was it like though as well? Because Sterling was like, let's say the star of the team. He was younger than you, man. He's playing up. He's done it up. His name's ringing serious bells. Like, what was that like for you? That's your brethren. That's your Cody. You've been with schooling with him. But obviously, we know in the football team, only a 1 and 2 man really get through. So what was that like for you as well? Playing with this guy, seeing how he's done it up, and then
everyone else is getting pros around you as well at the same time.
So for me, like these days, I see little interviews where certain people that were in our youth team or whatever, the ones that have made it or didn't make it where they can be in the play like non-league or like maybe League One or conference or whatever. And a lot of them always try and say like, they try to downplay Raheem's career to an extent, and then they try to be like, oh yeah, you know, he was decent in the youth team, but then he improved loads. And that's a lie. Like Raheem was better than everyone from the get-go.
Yeah, like, from when I used to watch it at the youth team level, what I used to see him doing he was head and shoulders above the rest.
Better than everyone from the like. And if anyone says no, they're lying and they're hating.
I watched your interview when you spoke about I don't being on a team bus or something. tell us that story about Raheem specifically.
Yeah, so from early, so like I said, Raheem was just better than everyone from the get-go, like heads and shoulders above. And then when we got into the youth team, this was first year youth team, so Rodolfo Burrell was our manager. And then we used to ask him a lot of times because we'd be like, oh, what was Messi like? What was Cesc Fabregas like? What was Iniesta like? Because we was intrigued, you know what I mean? You was their manager, like you're the one who helped him make it pro. And then we also said to him, like, who's the best player you've seen like play pro, like come through the academy? And obviously he was like, yeah, you know, Messi's number one. But he goes, he said to us, like, do you want to know who number two is? Like in terms of like just raw ability. He was like, who? Went, pointed him over there. He was like, what, he literally said, it was like, yo, the ability this guy has got is scary. And it's like, I don't like to say that certain people are going to make it or have not because football's mad, but
he should make it.
Not even he should. He's good. Like he will make it. Like
So first it's Messi, and then second just on raw abilities with himself.
Like, in terms of like young youth team players, it was just
high brackets.
So cool. And then a lot of people think it's just the pace. It's not just the pace. Like in position, in possession. So when we play possession games, he's better than everyone in tight boxes. He'll pop it around you, run around you. You know what I mean? Like he was always like 2-3 steps ahead of everyone else. You know what I mean? Even when he's played a year up, and it's quite funny. So like I remember his first ever game for Liverpool was against Bolton for the under-16, so my age group. We lost 2-1, and he got dragged at half time. He didn't play well. This was on the Saturday, and then on the Wednesday, a couple of days later, he played for the youth team. So he's going to play 2 years up now against Everton in a derby. He scored 2. They won 4-3. He set up one and scored 2. There's a clip of it on YouTube. I'll find it for you. The things that he did to these guys that were like 3-4 years older than him.
He was pissed that he got dragged at half time.
Yeah, literally, he was so angry that day. We went back. He's like, nah, that wasn't me. Like I was a bit nervous, and I know he doesn't get nervous. That's the thing with him as well. He's just mad confident. And he said, you know what, next game I'm gonna show everyone what I'm about. And it was on a Wednesday. It's on LSC TV. He twisted, and that video went viral. And then that's when people was like, "Oh, who's this little guy?" Like, it was just heads and shoulders above everyone. And for me, obviously, with him being my friend, and I'm one of the people I don't get jealous over people or anything like that. So I was just happy to see that another young black guy is doing well for himself. He's gonna make it, and he's a nice guy. You know what I mean? Like that's another thing. A lot of people try and like downplay his personality. He's a nice guy. You know what I mean? And once you get to know him and things like that. And for me, I just looked at it like I'm on my own journey, regardless of what he does. If he makes it or not, I'm on my own journey. If I make it or not, he's on his own journey as well. You know what I mean? So I was always just like, look, I did, because I'm a loud personality anyway. Like I'm chilled, but I'm like you'll know I'm there. You know what I mean? He's his own So I was never like, his light was never dim in mine, or like in terms of playing football, he'd outshine because he's a better player, you know what I mean? But in terms of like just being out there, I just did my thing, you know what I mean? And people know me for being me, you know what I mean? While I feel like a lot of other people were trying to jump off the back of him, if that makes sense, or they were trying to be known off the back of him, you know what I mean? If that makes sense, so
Well, as well, like obviously on the flip side, that's someone who's made it to the top of the sport, the 1%. But then there's other man in the team that you would have probably played with, trained with, seen every day, and thought, that brother, you're also going to be in that 1%. Unfortunately, they didn't make it. Reel off 3 names who you thought was going to make it and didn't.
You probably won't know or hear them. So, like, for example, obviously Adam Morgan. Adam Morgan, till now, because he plays like lower leagues.
I think
now.
he's League 2, innit?
No, he's playing like non-league now.
Is he non-league now?
When you see the goals he's scoring now,
Hallam Hope, I think, is in League 2.
Yeah, he's in League 2. He was at Everton. He was a good player as well. So he was another one you thought, he'd have made it like up there. But Adam Morgan, he's got more ability than most Prem strikers. You know what I mean? In terms of finishing, ridiculous. You know what I mean? Obviously, his story is another one where football, like, it consumes you. You know what I mean? And things happen. So he's another one. So Adam Morgan, Jordan Ibe. There's a guy called Tony Silva, winger. Portuguese.
You know what I'm talking about? I remember mine when I was all still. He was cold.
But he plays in like Kazakhstan or somewhere like that now. So they're just 3 like attacking players who, ability-wise, are up there. But then the football industry, the people around you, like,
so much things have got to go hand in hand.
Honestly, I always say to a lot of people, when they say like in terms of like the 1% making it, I think they talk about, for example, I think it's missold as well. when they
It's
talk
the
about
people that are playing in the highest leagues. Is it at the highest level of football?
They talk about, I think it's the people like Raheem. So Raheem's ability alone is scary, but then he's the guy that works hard to make it. You know what I mean? But when they talk about the 1% of making it, they should include people like that, because that ability, not everyone can have that. You know what I mean? But to make it to be a Prem player alone, that's the 1% I look at, and I think so many things have to go right for you. So your family setting, your friends, your agent.
Yeah, it's true.
So many things have to it's like a whole package that has to be presented properly. Your manager has to like you, your director of football has to like you. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things that has to go right. And then once you on your second contract, then you can be like, yeah, I've made it. You know what I mean? But in that transition, like, there's so many things that can go wrong. You know what I mean?
I think that's where a lot of the times as well, people looking, well, not in the system, never been in the system, and they're on the outside looking in. They can look at you and think, Henoc, man, what happened? How did you not make it?
I get that question all the time.
And then if you win at Liverpool, you must have been able to go to like Wigan, Bolton. They must have wanted you. And it's like, nah.
The system is different. Like, it's but when you speak to football people, they understand it. Well, you know, people that are on the outside, they'll be like, but then they'll just be like, oh no, you fell off. You know what I mean? And obviously, if you're not strong minded as well, that can consume you.
You can think you really did for
definitely. So I think.
So when my bad fam.
It's good.
So speak about your like ascension then to becoming a pro, and then obviously having like some, you know, hurdles and challenges.
Yeah, so like I mentioned, like the first year I only played a handful of games for my groin or whatnot. Second part of the season, I started well, but then picked up an injury, and because I was just in and out all the time, I was like, you know what, I don't think I'm gonna get a pro this season. So I can't start to doubt myself because my body was just kind of like. I upset the time I didn't know that I was growing. I didn't know that at the time. I just thought, I'm just getting injured, losing my head a bit. And then basically what ended up happening was the agent I had at the time and the club, they decided, look, we're going to do a youth loan. So when you're in the youth team, you can do something called a youth loan. So essentially I went out to Barnsley for a month to play a couple of games because they had a couple of players injured and whatnot. So I've gone out to Barnsley for a month. So at the time they had like John Stones, Ruben Lazarus, all them lot, Danny Rose in their team. I've gone there as a striker, played a few games, scored a few goals. And then, so when I did that, loads of people like, was like, right, what's going on? You know, he's a Liverpool player. Why is he going to Barnsley? Is he leaving? Whatever not. So loads of scouts were watching me when I was at Barnsley. So I done quite well. Come back to Liverpool, and then I played that season for Liverpool. I played 9 games. I think I scored like 9 goals as well. So it kind of matched up. You know what I mean? And then basically, essentially, what ended up happening was Liverpool. I didn't think I was going to get a contract. You know, because I think I only played 9 games. The same man I played 30, whatever. You know what I mean? Basically, they've come to me and said, look, sit down, let's have a meeting. We've sat down, this was in like March times, and then like, look, obviously we know you've only played a few amount of games, but we know why. And then they turned around to me and said, look, between this period and that period, you've grown X amount of like inches. Like when you've grown, it's like in your hips, basically, or whatever not. So your injury, we know why you've been having this injury. We like you, you're a good player. We're going to stick to our word. We told you we think you're good enough to play pro. In the few games that you have played, you've proved that you can. So basically what we're going to do, and then actually they turned around and said, oh yeah, also as well, when you went out on Barnsley, bare teams have come in for you.
Like,
So yeah, so you turn around and say, so I asked him, like, oh, who's coming for me? So I was intrigued myself. I'm thinking, right, I didn't know this. So he turned around and said, Leicester came in, offered me a 3-year deal. Barnsley came in themselves, offered me a 1-year pro. Sheffield offered me a 3-year pro. Sheffield offered me a 1-year. Derby offered me 2 years. Nottingham Forest offered me 2 years.
So after?
And there was Leeds offered me a 3-year because I played against Leeds. I'm absolutely done a madness against them.
So sorry, your Liverpool contract's about to end here.
It's about to end, yeah. So my youth team contract's about to end. My scholarship.
Oh, you got
so I got 6 months. So now Frank McParlin's telling me, yo, there's these bare teams are after you. So and he's like, look, we're not letting you go anywhere. So what we're gonna do, us as Liverpool, we're gonna offer you a 2-year professional contract.
Right.
As soon as he said that, I was just like, you know what I mean? Because once that happened, I didn't expect it because I thought I was going to leave. Because I've not played enough games. But he was like, no, the games you've played, you've done really well, and we know the ability that you possess. We just need to work on you properly, get you enough games, this, that, and the other. Your journey is different to like a Raheem or whatnot. And I understood that from early, you know what I mean? So then I said, yeah, boom, in July, going forward, you're going to be a pro. So he just told me that, and I remember that day I went home and I cried from literally. I remember because I was like,
tears of joy,
tears of joy. Because that year it was hard because I was thinking, yeah, I'm gonna leave. What am I gonna do next? I just signed with a certain agent at the time as well. But I met him, I was like, what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? Because at that point I'd been at Liverpool for 5 years, I think. Then so I'd been there. I was 18. I'd been there since 13. So I'd been there 5 years. I'm thinking like, what's going on? So that's happened. But like, yeah, cool. Come back in June, July. Come with your parents. We'll sign your pro. Everything's patterned. You're all good. But then this is where things now start to change. So, and also before that, basically before the season ended, they had basically they set a plan for me for when I signed my pro. So it's like basically when you come back in your pro season, you're gonna go to Royal Antwerp in Belgium and play for them for 6 months. And then you're going to come back in January, and then you're going to fly out to New York and go play with New York Cosmos. So the guys from New York came down and spoke with me. The guys from Belgium came down and spoke with me. I could speak French as well, so I spoke to them in French.
It's a proper plan.
So they had a plan in place. Yeah,
you know what's going on.
So the first year, because you missed out on game time, you're going to go there and you're going to play games. These men, they came and watched me train as well. They really liked me, especially the Royal Antwerp guys. They're like, look, you're going to go there, you're going to play games. You're going to develop, you're going to be in the gym, you're going to do this. So then you come back, second year, you're going to be your first full year in the reserves. By then, because I already played reserve games as well. I'd been playing since I was like 15, 16, I played reserve games. But it's going to be like your first year in the reserves. And then you'll also get the opportunity to train with the first team. Because back then we was training with the first team here and there, you know what I mean? But then there was like, nah, this year you're going to be up there at Melwood, everything's going to be calm, So I'm thinking like, you know what I mean, like sick, proper. Then season ends, come back, sign my pro contract within 2 weeks because it was Kenny Dalglish that gave me my professional contract. So he really liked me.
And he's a little Kenny. Yeah, man.
King Kenny. So King Kenny was like, he was my guy. Like Kenny Dalglish really liked me as a player. He used to give me a lot of advice.